What was your favorite video game of all time? Not including, of course, your game, Meiji.
Obviously, it's StarCraft Brood War. Like right up there is Dota All-Stars, and then Dota 2, and then I would say Total War Shogun 2. I love that.
Okay. Okay.
Or again, I mean, it's so outdated. It's like Direct 9. I think it uses the Dolby Flash still, but I still play it when I want to relax. And I'm a big fan of all the Mech Warrior series. I played, Mech Warrior since the every iteration of it.
Wow.
And was a founder holder of like Mech Warrior Online. I bought like that first, thing to support it. This was like, wow, my God, way back when. But yeah. I play Dota 2 religiously 1 to 2 hours every day. The first thing I do, I wake up, I check my Twitter and I check my email and I check my messages, and then I play 1 or 2 games and then I get to work. Yeah, it's crazy because like when you see my account, it's like October 31st or November 1st. They changed it, but November 1st, 2011. So I was one of the first beta players to play when it first came out. Gaming, man, I started in like 98 in esports, Quake 2 at the kind of end of that, and then StarCraft Brood War for Korea. I was part of World Cyber Games, the first iteration of that back in 1999-2000. I was the tournament director for World Cyber Games, StarCraft Brood War in Korea at that time when we were hosting it. I think there was like 19 countries at the time, so it was a big deal at that time back in the late 1990s and the early 2000s. I mean, pro esports only existed really in Korea. We had like 3 24-hour cable channels and it was just unreal. I was also part of Team Liquid as the executive advisor since their inception until they got big, and then I just kind of left. 4 of the kind of godfathers of my children are all ex-pro gamers.
Wow.
And all 4 of them became professional poker players. And I was working at PricewaterhouseCoopers at the time as a consultant. And I ended up doing some, poker stuff on the side. And then they asked me to join PokerStars because I was actually doing like casino regulatory work for PricewaterhouseCoopers for investment and stuff like that. I ended up becoming the regional director for PokerStars for Asia back in 2007, and then I legalized poker in 2008 in Macau, and I basically introduced it all to Asia, which seems like hyperbole, but it's actually true. But I think a lot of people can't really realize the scope of what that actually means. Because it looks like poker's been around forever. Yeah, and then I ended up opening up my own gaming brands and doing consulting in the regulatory space for gaming for a few years. And then I was in payment processing because that's basically online poker and online gaming at that time. I had a fintech company in the Philippines. I sold it to a consortium of Alibaba and this other Thai conglomerate called CP Group, and then I retired for a bit. And then long story short, I got into Axie Infinity because I was looking for a marketing channel during the middle of the pandemic. And no one would talk to us because they were crazy for Axies. So I'm like, okay, then I'm just going to do this Axie, whatever scholarship thing and make my marketing channel. But I was really amazed by it. And then, being in gaming and then actually being a, card game designer in an esports, I was like, wow, this is amazing stuff. And then, then I ended up getting into Web3 gaming. So that's the long story of it. It's so competitive.
Yep.
And you can't stand out with something new and kind of go for a niche first. Like, unless you have $100 million for marketing, you're just not going to get anywhere. Honestly, if you were to say to me right now, SinJin, I'm going to give you $100 million, do a Web2, like online poker site, I would say, no, it's not possible. Maybe you got like a 5% chance at the most with $100 million.
Yeah.
I'm saying this as someone who really, really knows space. Like pretty much every major crypto venture for online poker, they've come and asked me to be an advisor, whatever, or, ask my opinion. I'm like, it's not going to work because of this and this. Or I'll hear the founder and they'll be like, this is my proposition. I'm like, you're totally wrong. You don't get it. Right.
Yep.
And I think part of it is that where the video game market is right now, it is so competitive. And I'll talk about the PC game market specifically. It's so competitive that if you don't take a risk to stand out and differentiate yourself at the beginning, you're basically drawing dead. You're not gonna finish this journey. What really gets me excited is that I think with Axie, it kind of opened my eyes that it was very possible that once you had like digital assets that could be traded that were not gatekept, right? Then that level of ownership also opens up that you could actually have a fully real independent digital economy that's separate from real world things or like kind of like gated things. You know, at the core of what I'm doing is I'm doing a really massive risky experiment because I feel that crypto specifically has allowed us to have a chance to make a fully independent, fully scalable online economy that is a true online economy, not just a game economy, like an online economy, a digital economy. I'll share one. It's not really that PG, it's not too bad, but like one time I'm in a city, I won't tell you which city, and I don't speak the language, and I have to meet this big boss of a mafia because they're interested in online gaming. And online gaming is like basically only now it's kind of been regulated really, but you know, back 20 years ago it wasn't regulated. And so if I went to go visit a new market that didn't have a regulation or a casino, who's running all like the kind of gambling stuff? This is mafia people, right? And that was a really stressful part of my job. And so I speak Korean and I speak English, I speak a little bit of French, but I don't speak like all these other Asian languages. And so I would get a translation firm to come with me, right? So an interpreter. So we get in there and it's in this residential area and people are dressed like as if they're dressed in movies. They all look bad and mean and they got all tattoos. We sit down and I'm gonna have this meeting and you know, the translator from the agency is with me. Guy comes in and the translator says, "Oh my God, that guy just got released from jail like about like a month ago and he like killed people and stuff." I go, "Yeah, okay, good. Stop whispering in my ear, buddy. Like, just we'll play cool, right?" And then another guy comes in. He's like, "Oh my God, that guy was in the newspaper last week. I mean, like, he did something really bad." Like, and then he's like, "Mr. Jung." I'm like, "Yes." He says, "Can I leave?" I'm like, "What do you mean leave?" He's like, "I'm scared," right? I'm like, "Listen, buddy, you're not gonna leave in the middle of like I don't even know where I am even." And at that time, there's no Uber, okay? Okay, there's no Uber, okay? Yeah. Uber doesn't even exist yet. Like, smartphones come out in like 2007, okay? Okay. This is like 2008 or 2009, okay? There's no Uber. So I'm like, no, like, I need you to even get back to my hotel, you know? So long story short is that we get through the meeting and then the next month I fly into that country. I phone the agency and they see my number and they don't pick up. I leave messages. So like, yeah, that's the funny story. Well, absolutely yes, but I want to put in the caveat is that like people like look at games and they look at Roblox or they look at UF and or whatever like this, and you know, and AI is like another form of that where you know you don't need a code, right, without the platform, right? But like out of all the thousands of games as custom maps on Fortnite or on Roblox or whatever, like how many are really hits? So like 20, 30, right, out of thousands, okay? But still, you know, maybe a sizable, let's even say 100. So AI is like, for the normal person who wants to get into game development, I think it's really good for like prototyping, meaning like kind of getting a game loop that's fun and stuff like this. But a lot of it is like the AI is based off of like existing games, right? So most of these games are clones or variations of clones, and maybe they can get a hit there or whatever like that, right? But there's this aspect of game design where you design the game loop and you prototype, right? And then there's the aspect of actually production. So on the production side, absolutely, like AI is definitely helping out. For concept art, it's amazing. 2 years ago, every game studio had 2 or 3 concept artists. Mid-Journey, like 4 comes out, they're all gone. Literally in like a month, right? And, you know, as AI gets more and more robust, like the next stage is really like 3D models. And I'm sure we'll come to that in about a year. But do I think that AI is going to just start making games that are going to be hit games? I don't think so. But for me, AI absolutely is a fantastic tool.